senator before he was president. Then he was elected president and was president for years when Trump was still trying to prove that he wasn't born in the U.S. I'm like, dude, you're making a fool out of yourself, because he's been president for years, so obviously no one's listening to you. No one cares what you're saying. You might as well move on to some other things, So eventually he moved on, but this birther thing is getting old. Stop it, please. You're making a fool out of yourself. There's one thing that Trump does that's pretty dangerous, and that's whenever someone says anything positive about him, he doesn't care what their background is. Anybody says anything positive about President Trump, or they agree with him in any way, he doesn't care what their the lady who says she gave hydroxychloroquine to some COVID patients and that cured them. She was a doctor from Nigeria, but she also was a kook, because she also said that people were dreaming that they were having sex. Demons were having sex with people in their sleep and getting them pregnant. So, Trump is sitting here praising her because she agreed with him about hydroxychloroquine. But when people pointed out to him that she's also said some really crazy stuff about other things, then he won't acknowledge that is completely ridiculous. He'll just say, oh, well, yeah, she's a good doctor. She's a doctor, smart person. Be like, well, what about all this other crazy stuff she said? He just won't acknowledge it. And that leads me to QAnon. Because like I said before, this conspiracy nonsense will rear its ugly head. And here it is again. With QAnon. For those of you who don't know what QAnon is, it's a conspiracy. It's a group of conspiracy theorists. They're grouped up in their leader, who they don't even know who it is, his name is Q. So the rest of the people who subscribe to conspiracy theories and they're part of this group, it's called QAnon. And basically what they believe in is that there's a bunch of rich entertainers and politicians, rich famous people who are pedophiles, and they drink the blood of children and they eat them. So they're cannibalistic pedophiles, and that Trump is secretly going to expose and put in round up these pedophiles and put them all in jail. And he praised QAnon openly in a press conference. First of all, President Trump is not going to round up pedophiles. I don't know if he's one of them, a pedophile himself. I don't know. I don't know. Some people seem to think he was or is, because he was acquainted with Jeffrey Epstein. Some people think he's not. They think he's going to be the savior of the kids, which is completely and utterly ridiculous, because We all know President Trump well enough to know that first off, he's a scumbag. The president is not a good person. He's not a smart person. He's not intelligent at all. So, secondly, he's a very selfish man. He does things for himself. He's only concerned with himself. He's very divisive. He's dividing the country for reasons. He's not just doing it because for any other reason than politically that helps him to divide the country. Because he wants to get people riled up and mad, and then he steps in and says, and all these problems that you're mad about, I can fix. Which he did last time. I don't know if that's going to work this time, but that's what he did last time. We're going to go to a break real quick. Just cut away, and we will be right back. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to a man who's so sexy it's completely ridiculous. Mr. Anthony Scott Dover. Yummy.
All right. We're back. Anyway, what I was talking about before we went to break was QAnon, and how the president, if you say anything good or anything favorable about the president, this is how stupid he is. He will not acknowledge that you're out of your mind if you're a kook. You know, if you're not sane, if you're crazy, or if what you believe in is completely ridiculous, he will not say that because you have said something good about him. Now, when he was told about some of the stuff that QAnon believes in, he would not say anything about it. All he said was that, well, I don't know much about them, but apparently they like me. I'm like, so what? They like you. These guys are dangerous. They're considered domestic terrorists by the FBI because they have went looking for people to kill them based on these conspiracy theories. They have been stopped on occasion by law enforcement looking to harm someone because of what they believe this person stood for. So the president, just because they say something nice about you, doesn't mean you should just not voice your opinion. Now, if your opinion is that they're just great, then you should say that. Even though, in this case, you'd be wrong. You'd be terribly wrong. QAnon's dangerous because they're conspiracy theorists. Their membership is actually building, and they're a bunch of nutcases who think they're doing the world a favor, which they're really not, because they're nutcases. So these conspiracy theorist groups is just growing, and no thanks to people like the president who won't just come out and say these conspiracy theorists are nuts and out of their minds, and 99% of the stuff they believe in is completely ridiculous nonsense. He just won't say it. And then you got dummies like Alex Jones, who got a divorce, recently. Got a divorce from his wife, and in court documents admitted that it's a character that he plays on his show that's a conspiracy theorist, and that he doesn't really believe everything he says on the show. But most of his listeners to his show. I think Alex Jones does his he does a podcast, but I think he does it live every day. So I'm not sure. I'm not a listener of his. I've never even listened to the show outside of hearing clips from other radio shows that were making fun of him. Some of the stuff that he says, and is so stupid it's funny. Some of the stuff he says is so dumb it's funny. So yeah, I am not a conspiracy theorist in the least bit. So there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there, but I'm not one of them. So when I hear something that may be true, I'll tell you, there might be something to this, but most of the stuff that the conspiracy theorists say is complete nonsense, especially when you want to get down to saying that President Trump is going to bust a ring of pedophiles. Like, this guy's not a good guy. He's not competent. He doesn't know what he's doing as president. He doesn't even take the job seriously. I mean, his own staff, the ones who are not in jail, who quit, always come out and want to write books about him and saying how terrible he is as president and as a human being. And he doesn't read. He won't read his briefings that they leave him. I mean, he's only in office to try to enrich himself, the very thing that they said you shouldn't be doing when you're the president, trying to enrich yourself and trying to reverse everything that Obama done, because he's so obsessed with Obama. And Obama made fun of him, so he's trying to reverse everything Obama done. And that's partially how we got into this trouble with the pandemic, I'm talking. Obama and Biden had set up a pandemic response team, to find out about new viruses that had formed, and to try to stop them as soon as possible. Trump fired those guys before the pandemic, and then look what ended up happening. Not only did he fire the pandemic response team, he started denying that the virus was anything, talking about it's a hoax. But hopefully they'll come up with a vaccine soon, meaning before the end of the year. It doesn't look like, it does look like they're going to come up with a vaccine soon, but before they can put it out there, they got to do a lot of tests, and they need some guinea pigs. They got to try it on people who have COVID. So they got to get a lot of people who have COVID and try this vaccine. Russia already says they have a vaccine. Now, I don't know how much you trust Russia, because I don't trust them at all. This is a country led by a dictator in Putin. And Trump is Putin's boy. But Russia says they already have a vaccine. You can't really trust Russia. Putin actually was it's been reported that he was putting bounties on the heads of American soldiers. And Trump totally denied that he'd even heard about any of this. So he doesn't really like to say anything bad about Russia. He doesn't want anybody to say anything about it to him either. So,